First of all, this evening I'd like to start with acknowledging the traditional owners of the land that we meet today, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, any elders past and present. And just a special thank you to Dr. Ong for sharing your time with us this evening. It's really important that we give authors the opportunity to connect with their audiences, and especially when we have local authors with such powerful message to share. And in conversation, Alison Shamir, who's an international keynote speaker, also happens to be an author, and has kindly joined us tonight to be the in-conversation partner. So I might hand over to Alison to introduce Dr. Ong, if that's okay, and I'll let you get started. And thank you again for joining us, and thank you.
Well, good evening, everyone. So I'm going to pivot a lot so I can see your amazing faces. I am Alison Shamir. I'm thrilled to be here and introduce the incredible Dr. Olivia Ong, who I've had the pleasure of working with and knowing since 2021. And I'm not sure where those 5 years have gone. And I just wanted to open quickly with a story around, meeting Olivia for the first time, if I may, before I hand to you. So we met, as most people did in 2021, on a Zoom call. We remember those days well. And Olivia and I were talking about my topic of expertise, which is something called imposter syndrome. And I remember the first moment I met Olivia, staring down the barrel of the camera and looking at her, incredible face and hearing her story. And the word that just shot through the screen was just dedication, determination, and this strong but chill all at the same time. She has this phenomenal juxtaposition and contrast and that warmth. And I just can't tell you how amazing I think this full circle moment is. So thank you. Now, Dr. Olivia Ong, of course, is an incredible medical doctor. I often joke she's got more letters after her name than many of us can even fathom. Of course, has gone on to be a great speaker, an author now of 2 books. And Olivia, I'll just hand to you for a moment and let you share anything about yourself you would like to, because I want to make sure I do your introduction justice. And as a professional speaker, you won't shut us up after we get started. So strap yourselves in, everyone. But just over to you for a moment, Olivia. What would you like to share before we kick off and I keep talking about how amazing you are?
Yeah, I just wanted to say this is really a full circle moment. Talk about conquering imposter syndrome, plus.
Yes.
This is like full circle moment. And I just want to say I wrote this book back on my feet because it was a love letter to not just my younger self, to many, many people who have supported me along the way, including Allison, my husband, and my 2 kids, and people I've met along the way in various, programs, in order to further develop myself, and coaches and mentors who are here with me here in this audience. So I have to admit, speaking was definitely one of those I say specialty areas that I did face a lot of imposter syndrome, but I had the right mentors who stood by me. So yeah, and definitely book writing, yes, 100% imposter syndrome as well, but had the right people as well. I'm so grateful that the right people are here, and yeah, today's event is a love letter to all of you for coming. Yeah.
Yes, thank you all very, very much. I've had the pleasure of reading Olivia's book and knowing a little bit about her story. But when I picked up this book and over the last couple of weeks reading it, some of the words that came to mind for me were determination, dedication, resilience, faith, and the journey around that, identity, evolution. This book, and I know it can be an overused word, but really does take you on a journey. And the thing I want to open up with is the level of descriptive writing. I just want to share that is so powerful that there were moments when I literally felt like I was right beside her. And I won't give too much away, but the description and the detail and the storytelling, and the list goes on. Thank you, because the book truly is a gift. And when you have it and you read it, I'm sure you're going to walk away thinking, Yes, that's spot on. So I wanted to open this up because a lot of Olivia's journey, if I may say, is around many things, but is around identity evolution and this concept of identity. Who are we? Who do we evolve into? And how do things happen or can happen that shift that dramatically, overnight? And I wanted to start with the identity question. And that this is a personal favorite of mine as well and blends into a lot of what we're saying. So selfishly, I'm going to start with one of my my favorite areas. But when we open the book, something that Olivia says early on is that she always knew she wanted to be a doctor, from the time she was a little girl. And so I want to hand to you as a little girl, and you'll share where you grew up. Tell us, what made you know that you wanted to be a doctor so early in life?
Yeah, as a kid, I just remember just going to the Singapore Science Centre and looking at the various organs. I was just fascinated, and I just remember, like, my mom, like, actually in Indonesian, she'll tell me like what the nervous system will be like. It's hilarious now because now I'm learning about the nervous system again in a different light. But it's just the way she describes it, and it's just something fascinating about the human body.
And how old were you?
I was probably about 3 or 4 years old when that happened. And then when I went to the Science Centre in Singapore, I was about 7 or 8 years old. And there was something about like listening to people's stories. I think that's why I ended up speaking and writing as well, and medicine was just that. A lot of that. There's a lot of narrative medicine, there's storytelling. And what really, because I volunteered for the old folks, like to help old folks and intellectual disabled people, just, volunteering my time when I was a teenager. And there's something just so meaningful about, and just seeing them, being heard, being seen. And there's something about, that all of that storytelling. And that was what drew me in as a doctor. And yes, there were a lot of TV shows in my time. There was ER.
My time
Remember
as well.
ER? I remember ER. There's Noah Wiley and George Clooney and all those people. With the theme song was my go-to song. Like, it would just make me.
And how they glorify the medical profession.
Yeah, I know.
And it was that glamorous all the time.
No, not really. And then by the time I do it, I went, oh, it's not like ER. It's not even like Grey's Anatomy either. Man, it's like, it's all of that. And I think it just became slowly part of my identity. My parents they didn't pressurize me to be a doctor. In fact, they were a bit concerned. They were like, I don't know, I'm concerned that you might not even get married. Like that stuff like that is hilarious when I look back. Because they were thinking, oh gosh, she'll be one of those people who just be so workaholic type and will just never settle down. But and all of that, it just became so much part of my identity. And I think the theme song of ER was part of my identity. I just remember just watching the show and the theme song came and I'll be like, yeah, let's go. Yeah. So it's all of that. I think that was what really motivated me as a doctor, like to do medicine as a teenager. Yeah.
Which I think is extraordinary. I think all of us had dreams as a child. I know at one stage I wanted to be a Ninja Turtle. So that's a far cry from Leonardo, of course, the blue turtle. But that's a far cry
I like
from
Michelangelo.
Yes. So that was
I'm not sure why, but pizzas.
I think he's definitely your character.
Oh yes, I'm a Michelangelo. Yes.
And I just think it's remarkable because we hear and we dress up as we're younger. And Olivia, took that childhood dream and made it a reality, which I just think is a beautiful thing. Full stop. And the way that she opens the book around that, and just staying on the theme of identity, because you mentioned there. So just for all of you, Olivia grew up between Indonesia and Singapore for her childhood, and obviously the growth between that and your family's journey. But you've had some quite remarkable, identity evolutions. And, some of the ones I noted down were obviously, wanting to do medicine as young, living between those two countries. Then you came to Australia, you pursued education and medicine, and formed your identity there. And then you've gone through many evolutions, which we'll touch on tonight, going on to the career, the accident in the moment that changed your life, becoming a parent, and a few things we'll circle back to later. But For those of you that don't know, in 2008, when Olivia was well into growing her medical career and practicing and some things she'll share, her life changed forever in 2008. And of course, this is a big point of the book and her story. And there's no real question I could put around this to do it justice. So what I decided is to hand back to you. And if you can just take us wherever you're comfortable, but to that day in 2008, where you were in your career, and anything that you would like to share around that moment, I think, would be really important for everyone to hear.
I remember that year very clearly. In fact, that was the year where it was very early stage of my medical career as a rehab medicine trainee, we call it, because we're training to be a specialist in the area. And I just remember in around May, I was sitting for the entrance exam and I studied all these different spinal cord injuries and learned about the various different types. And I just remember visiting actually the Royal Talbot, the rehab hospital, to, I guess, talk to some patients and examine them. And just what I noticed was it was dark and gray and they all looked very sad. I remember seeing the sad faces. I think that was what stood out to me. But little did I know, a couple of months later, as I was talking to just my colleague, waiting for another friend to join us, something as random as that. Like we do that all the time, like, young girls will just wait for another person to join us as a friend and we'll just chit chat. And, at the corner of my eye, I saw this old worn out Toyota like revving up the engine, and I didn't think very much of it until that car actually revved up and hit both of us, me and my colleague, at high speed. We were about to attend an education session. Like what else do young doctors do? In their time off, they have to attend education sessions to support their training. It's just part of our life. And little did I know that as ordinary day like that, as an ordinary work day, turned out to be such a major turning point in my life. The car hit us bent out of control, hit us, and the next thing I knew, I was on the ground. So I think I was really thankful that I was alive. I think that was the first thing, because I didn't know whether I was alive or not, and I was. And I just remember lying down on my left shoulder, and I could see the scars. I think it's a trauma response that I learned, that everything became so vivid and clear. Like you remember all the little details and things like that, and the eucalyptus trees in the corner and stuff like that. I just remember seeing a group of doctors and nurses rushing out. I just didn't realize it was me because I was still probably in denial and shock and all those things. But the good thing is it happened in a hospital. I received immediate attention. I got ambulance to come very quickly, whisked me off to the nearest trauma hospital in Melbourne, and I was glad that I went to that particular hospital because the surgeon she's female surgeon, spinal surgeon, get her.
Yes,
Yeah,
female surgeons.
Yeah, she operated on my back and she fixed up my back. But the paralysis remained. Like there was one thing about stabilizing a spine when you've broken your back, you have to get it stabilized, or else you'll be a invalid, I guess, or paraplegic for the rest of my life. That was my injury, a spinal cord injury, lower level. But thankfully, this surgeon stabilized my spine, and
It was actually broken.
yes, it was broken into two. Just think about, it broke into two like that. That's how visually I can describe it. It's like that. And one of the bones in the spine just broke in pieces. The first few weeks was really hard. Like, even though I was a medical practitioner, I thought I will adjust. I didn't. In fact, it probably freaked me out even more. About the uncertainty, I think, really freaked me out. So the moment the impact hit me, so I felt like a strong sensation reverberated, and it was painful, of course, in my lower back. But I think I was grateful I was alive. That's one. Yeah. And obviously, I think it's a trauma response now that, in hindsight, I know. I started triaging myself because I think I just went to doctor mode. That's the safest survival mode for me. It's just to go to the doctor mode. And then we have this system called ABCD, like A is airway, like I'm breathing, like I'm good, I'm alive, I'm breathing, good. And then B, breathing. And then C, circulation, well, there's no blood, I should be okay, I guess. And then D, environment, dehydration. And then I think once I realized I couldn't move or feel my legs, that was when I really freaked out. I was really scared because I knew, because I just had studied about spinal cord injuries just a few months before this accident and realized that, oh, that's spinal shock. That means there's no oxygen to the spinal cord. It's something has damaged it. And now I can't feel my legs. I can't move it. Oh, this is crap. This is not a good thing, Olivia. And I just remember the Talbot, how everyone looked so sad and depressed. Yeah, so that was that. And I think what really stood out for me in terms of identity, because I know you spoke about identity a lot. But that was the beginning of my journey of many, many identity shifts. And this was the shift from a doctor to a patient was the most profound and most, I guess, spirit jolting or soul jolting, because it kind of challenged the way because I'm someone who loves certainty. I mean, a lot of people in medicine love certainty. And this was spinal cord injury is one of those areas in medicine. There's a lot of uncertainty. I didn't know how much I will recover or what I have to do it takes to recover. But yeah, that was hard. That was the hardest part for me in the early parts of my injury, is the uncertainty. Almost 20 years ago, there was nothing talked about, like with spinal cord injury, even incomplete injuries, there was no talk about like walking again and things like that. And certainly exercise-based rehabilitation did not exist in the conventional rehab hospitals, including the one where I was a patient in. So basically early on, we're just told, just get used to the wheelchair and just get by kind of thing, and just adjust. As a rebel by nature, I will not take that. I did not take that very well. And I just wanted actually just to prove the doctors wrong, that I could walk again. But thankfully in 2008, somebody invented YouTube. And I came across, because, nights are long in hospitals. And I was doom scrolling. I was doom scrolling for hope, basically, of whether there's any videos of anything that, help, like there's a sign like walking is possible. And there was this facility that really piqued my interest, Project Walk. And, like there were lots of videos on YouTube about people, like walking again in training sessions at Project Walk. And that gave me a lot of hope. And especially at the time where just for 6 to 8 weeks, my legs remained paralyzed. So I thought that was it. Both of them. And I went, oh, that's it, I'm doomed. And all these negative thoughts, negative things just coming through my mind. On my birthday, when I had a little party at the rehab hospital, celebrate my 29th birthday. And then that night, my left leg moved. It was a miracle. And I was like, holy moly. And I think that kind of like just started the whole like obsession. Like, I want to walk again. And then the YouTube videos and everything. But there was one really important thing that kind of preoccupied my mind, because I wanted to work. Because I think this is all the whole doctor mentality. I got to prove people I still can be a doctor. I can still do medicine. That was also my obsession too. And I decided that was my priority the following year, especially when one of the directors of the rehab hospital that I ended up working part-time called me up and say, hey, do you want your job that you took before the accident in that formal manner? And I went, yes, I do. Even if it's in a wheelchair, I will do what it takes to do that job. So after I ticked that box, it was quite interesting. Halfway through my term in that job, again, I was doom scrolling. Must be doom scrolling is a good thing for me, apparently, or doom scrolling on TV, whatever. And I remember watching on Sunday night, a documentary, and there was this guy I went to rehab with called Michael. He's a cyclist. Unfortunately, became quadriplegic because cyclist versus car. And that's how I ended up quadriplegic. So I knew who he was. We didn't talk very much in rehab because both of us were very depressed. Yeah. But he was on TV and he was at Project Walk. That was two signs going, Michael at Project Walk. And he was doing all these things, all these exercises with the trainers, deadlifts and this, that, and cycling, like on a stationary bike. I went, I gotta go to this place. This is a sign. This is a sign from God that I need to go. And what I did was I just emailed Project Walk and said, do you have any spots in March? And they did. And that kind of, I struggled. I went, oh, this is going to cost a lot of money. Thankfully, I had income protection. So remember to get income protection. I did that as an intern and that served me well. And how will I adjust being in America? Like it's going to be months we're going to live there. So once I made the decision, yeah.
Any money for
Oh, yeah. Yes, we did. We did, yeah. In the end, yeah. But I don't know. At that time, I think I was just, like I was numb. Basically, I didn't feel anything. I just wanted to walk again. So even all that, I didn't, I didn't react very much. I could see those early days. I was just like quiet and I didn't talk to anybody. I think that's also a trauma response. So I finished up at Caulfield Hospital around February 2009, and a month later we traveled to LA. Well, I've been to LA before in '95, and that was Disneyland, Hollywood, and all these things. I think I was scared because now I'm traveling as a disabled person. I didn't know how I'll react on the plane especially with bladder and bowels is a huge issue. I mean, that's a huge issue for us with spinal cord injury because some of us have no control and over it. And that was my greatest fear is like, what if I have an accident on the plane? But at least with the bladder management, I just whipped in a catheter. I mean, I can catheterize myself. I know it's graphic. Sorry, I just said that out loud. But I could, medical person. Yeah, I could do all that. But I think, anyhow, we survived the plane ride. Yeah, thank goodness. Thank goodness.
Very skilled. Yeah.
Yeah. And no dramas. And I think I didn't know what to expect. But when I stepped into Project Walk, very high vibe, different, not the dark gray Royal Talbot atmosphere. It was high vibe. Everyone was bantering, trainer and clients bantering. Clients were out of their wheelchairs. That's the most important. They were out of their wheelchairs. They were exercising. They were standing. They were walking. I went, this is a place I got to be. And they had pumped up music. I'm like, hip hop, can't go anywhere wrong. So I decided this is going to be my home over the next, I guess, few years or how long it takes to walk again. I made a decision there and there. That's it. I'm going to commit to this walking again journey. It was the trainer's belief in me. There's this thing in psychology called Pygmalion effect. I think that's the name. Yes. Where if someone totally 100% believes in you and believes that you can do it, you can do it. And my trainers at Project Walk, believed in me. Like if I wanted to walk again, they didn't say I couldn't. They said, let's give it the good go. And I think that's where my trainers are like that. If I'm willing to put in the hard yards, they were willing to go along the journey with me. And what a fun ride it was. I made a lot of new friends. I mean, it's a culture shock. An Australian coming to America, huge culture shock. But we had a lot of fun. There was Thanksgiving, there was going to football. Like American football is a little bit different from AFL. There's a lot of things. It's full on. It goes all day, and it goes on for like the weekend, and then sometimes it will coincide with Thanksgiving, and it just goes on forever. And I think the cultural exchange, just the human connection I think it really helps if you find people of your tribe. Yeah. And I found people of my tribe, people with spinal cord injuries, caregivers who are looking after their, loved ones with spinal cord injury. We just needed that community in our lives, and we didn't have much of that in Australia. Mm-hmm. I think that was the biggest healing source, I guess. Yeah. That's how I felt the journey wasn't just a physical healing thing. It was everything. It was just the human connection. Now I realize it's co-regulation and all these things. And it was just being with your tribe. I think so important. I realized what perfectionism is now, but at that time, it will manifest behaviorally very different. It will be like if I didn't master a particular skill at rehab, I'll be beating myself up saying, surely you can do better than that. But I realized that I've been living with this kind of voice for a long, long time, the self-critical voice. But awareness is a beautiful, beautiful asset, I guess, a beautiful thing. Until you know what's happening, it's like you don't know what you don't know, right? You just live that kind of life. Running exactly, like autopilot. Yeah. And it's only in hindsight, because I've done so much personal development now on myself, I realized, oh, that was me, the recovering perfection is there. But it's related to the way I grew up in Singapore, like the teachers, the societal expectations. If I didn't do well, teachers will shame you in front of the class. And sometimes it will beat us, that kind of thing. And just tell us in front of everybody, you're not good, you got to try harder. And things like that. So I think it's sometimes related to the way people speak to us, and then we interpret our own stories, our own narratives, and our nervous systems do remember those things. And what happens there, it's the perfectionism happens. And some people, including myself, will even preemptively punish myself because I didn't want to be criticized. That happened a lot in medicine. I'm just thinking about my junior doctor days when, because all of us junior doctors will want to be a specialist one day, and we got to make our bosses happy. And there was that. I think there was a lot of just nervous system issues there, like just trying to please the boss. If things don't go our way, and then we just beat ourselves up, and just preemptively, so that the bosses won't be like, because they will be harsh. They'll just say, you're not good enough to do medicine. Why are you still here? Like that kind of thing. So medicine, unfortunately, is very unfriendly culture at times. But it's gratifying, it's very rewarding. But that is the culture. I think the culture is still a bit like that at the moment still. And I'm sure the people in healthcare will probably relate to that.
Was that in Singapore or was that in Australia?
That was in Australia. As in my medical training, especially as an intern and resident, you're just at the bottom of the food chain. You have to try to impress everybody and please everybody. All of us have to go through that I guess rite of passage.
It's almost like the Hunger Games, isn't it? Like, to use a better...
Sorry,
I volunteer as
Candace
trivia.
Evans.
That's a but your journey of then self-discovery, the power of self-compassion, and some of these other things that underpins Olivia's recovery, but her work, your soul, who you are now in this evolution. And Olivia mentions 3 pillars of self-compassion are mindfulness is the first pillar. Well, these are in no particular order. Mindfulness, common humanity, which I think is super important, especially in the world we're in right now, and self-kindness. Can you walk us through those and those pillars, that realization, and what you've gone on to do with those?
That one is the muscle that took the longest to build, like emotionally hard to build. That was the hardest for me because I didn't grow up in that environment in Singapore, and certainly medical training, we ain't having those things. There's no such thing as self-kindness. It's like everyone, like you said, Hunger Games, the Hunger Games, and we would try and save other people, each other, and then we still end up getting killed. That kind of, if you think about Hunger Games and all that. So yeah, self-kindness was the hardest. So when you mush the pillars together, that's what you get. That's self-compassion. That's the 3 pillars. And I think these days I apply it not just in my medical practice, I also apply it in my life and with the family and all. So I think that's really important, especially as parents, very important.
You mentioned family, and your husband John, who's over there, and your lovely children, Joseph and Jacqueline, realizing that dream and having 2 beautiful children, and your husband John, and you're all blessed to have each other. But can you just share the journey of becoming a mum? Of course, that's an identity shift, but because of everything you've all heard so far, becoming a mum to Joseph first, then Jacqueline. Tell us about that. And I think, how has it changed you? What's your perspective or view with the kids now? Because I think that's such a beautiful part of the journey.
I think being a parent just really adds to, like, when I reflect back now on the early days when I thought I'll never ever have children, I think that was my greatest fear because I really didn't know. I didn't even know whether I'll be a doctor again, let alone have kids, whether I'll be able to handle kids because I have a disability now. I have a spinal cord injury. But I think throughout the process, if self-compassion is one thing, self-appreciation is a whole different level because self-compassion is like, hugging your best friend, or, like you're hugging yourself like your own best friend, and self-appreciation is like, you got this, exactly. And that's parenthood, basically. It's like, you got this, even if it's like a little thing. And I think having kids, we have to be mindful even more. I think they are actually the best mindfulness teachers. Kids, when they're at play, they just play the heck out of it and they don't care and they're just in their own world. And I think as much as us, parents, we teach our kids, they have a lot to teach us too. So I think that was what parenthood taught me. And also the second thing is I can do parenthood very differently. And a lot of my Project Walk friends who are females went on to have not just one kid, twins, a few of them. And I'm like, goodness. And they all are thriving, they're happy. And I realized that it's the identity shift. We can be paraplegic or quadriplegic moms, and we can parent differently in our own way, our own style, and that's okay. We don't have to fit into society's buckets or whatever, and it's okay. I think that saying to myself, it's okay, took a long time as well. Yeah, it wasn't an easy thing to go, it's okay. But yeah, that's where the self-kindness piece took the longest, because you gotta, once you start going to saying to yourself, it's okay, you can do it, that's when you know you mastered that pillar of self-kindness. So I think parenthood taught it's a level higher up than self-compassion. It's like self-appreciation, this bit.
Yeah. The book is extraordinary. It takes you on a journey at different levels and different levels of description. And at times you are looking outward, and at times you're having deeply inward or reflective moments. You know, and that's what I was getting. And this juxtaposition from Australia to the US, and people coming in and out of your life, and identity shifts and relationships. And again, I could go on and on and on. It's an extraordinary book. What are some of the key lessons or insights, or something that perhaps I haven't brought up tonight, or that you want to leave all of these lovely people with tonight? You know, I really want to hand the microphone back to you on that, because this book is full of all of those things. But what would you like to share right now before we open to questions?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I just want to share being back on my feet. Like the literal title of the book, it's not just a physical process.
Yeah.
For many of you as well, it could be an emotional, mental process, spiritual process. And that was what I experienced, just being back on my feet. And as I said earlier on in the beginning of the event, I wrote this book as a love letter, because I miss my trainers, I miss my friends, I miss, the people that supported me throughout the way. And I went, why don't I just write a book about it? And that's how it all started. And yeah, it's a love letter. Every chapter is a love letter to people, like someone or a group of people. And I'm so glad that it came out in this. I'm just very happy. And yeah, and I think I just want all of you to know that, you are not alone. And when you feel things are hopeless or helpless, there's always a solution, and there's always a way out. And as one of my coaches also told me, there's always wisdom and learnings in the diamonds in the raft, in the bad things that have happened. Yeah, yeah.
It's linked to a lot of things as well to it, and
Yes.
and seeking the support. The support's important.
Yes.
And to try, and it's, you're going to have your doubters, obviously.
Yes.
Regardless of what
Yeah.
disability you've got. So it's really
Mm,
saying, look, putting things in perspective,
exactly.
and trying to say, look, I rather swim rather than sink.
Yeah.
But I was trying to get over that initial shock
Yeah.
to move on to the positive stuff.
Yeah. And I think people who are there to support means a lot. I think as I learned throughout that journey, like the early part of the injury, like recovery, people have left us as well. And I'm sure some of you can relate to having been ill or like having seen some challenge, and people that you thought were your friends didn't stay and support you. But surprisingly, a group of other people stayed and supported you. And you go, oh, these are really my true tribe members. We should hang out together more often. And, you just know, I think sometimes life throws exactly that kind of, curveball, lemons, oranges, whatever they want to throw at us. But they bring out the people who are there for us as well. So I think it's really crucial.
Who has a question, and please just shout it out or put your hand up. But I'm sure Olivia would like to, so please.
Hello.
When you came back from America,
Yeah.
did you find it hard to establish a new tribe, or did you have to, or did you?
Yeah, we had to, like what Alison was saying, the old tribe we grew up of, and obviously time away from America, we didn't form the usual connections. There were a few friends that we kept connecting, but when we came back, we had to form new connections. Like I had to find a new church. I still had my old medical friends, but I could have formed new ones. Now I'm in a training program with trainees like way younger than me, and I got to hang out with them. I was like, oh, these old ladies, now I got to hang out with all these young trainees. But, after I got over that mental hurdle, it was fine. I had the best time with these young trainees. And we all became good friends and things, I think we just have to allow ourselves to be open to possibility. And I think that's what America taught me, is just to be open. On like intermittent. So I'll be staying there for 3 months and then coming back to Australia for a few months, because our visa is like 3 months.
Yeah.
We have this ESTA visa, 90-day visa, still the same, I think. So that's what
Don't do it now.
No. But at that time, because I had to come back and regroup with my rehabilitation team in Melbourne, to make sure we're on track. And obviously, as no spoiler alert, but not everyone agreed with what Project What did.
You're a fairly
Yeah.
resolute sort of person.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
Did you ever feel times of being either, some Australians either bitter, there could be payback? Sometimes people might think, though, life's not worth living. That obviously wouldn't have occurred with you, would it?
Yeah. And I think when I was in America, I learned to embrace different perspectives. And that was hard to adjust in Australia, I have to admit. But I guess I have to see where the person, I was about to say patient, where the person is coming from. And I think it comes with that person's background, whatever experiences they've gone through. And I think if you appreciate people like that, or when you talk to them, you just, they're coming from a different place. I learned not to take it too hard, because I did take it too hard in the early bits when I came back. And that was when all that perfectionism and lack of self-kindness didn't serve me at all. And I think once I realized that everyone's allowed to have their opinions and different perspectives, and that's okay. And I just have to know where they're coming from. And that's all right. Even with my patients as well. They're all coming to me with different stories, different perspectives, different experiences in healthcare. And the beautiful thing about being a pain physician is we allow like an hour with them versus like 10, 20 minutes, very short. And we allow the patients to express themselves, tell their stories. And that's why I enjoy, I ended up doing pain medicine. Obviously, some of my friends in my book have inspired me to do pain medicine, and just read the book and you'll know which friends, my Project Work friends. But yeah, I think just knowing where someone's coming from, it really helps. And now I'm learning all this nervous system stuff, knowing where their nervous system is coming from. Eventually came back to Melbourne, resumed my rehabilitation medicine training. So I qualified as a rehab physician in 2016, and that's has its own AFRM, RACP, some letters there. And then after that, I further specialize in pain medicine, and then there's another few letters there, FFPM, ANSCA, whatever. It's two different colleges, so that's why it's all these letters. But what ultimately, the blend of rehab and pain medicine really is very, I think my experiences in America plus blending the two fields really helped shape the way I practice medicine today. It makes it enjoyable, it makes it fulfilling, and patients are thriving, I'm thriving, they're thriving. It's good. I think that really helps.
So when you described the first rehab unit that you were in,
Oh yes.
the dark grey place, how have you been able to influence both practitioners in that environment in sort of now in your practice? And are you able to?
Yeah. I think there's the old, and I'm sure Matt can attest to this, the the older rehab physicians are still very rigid, and they still do not think there's a place for exercise rehab in spinal cord injury, rehabilitation or recovery or other neurological conditions. But I think the younger ones are starting to be a bit more open, especially now with the bombardment of social media and YouTube not becoming YouTube, it's everything now, like there's TikTok and many other social media channels now I learned. They're starting to realize that we got to be open because people are consuming content differently, and exactly, and they can access lots of things. And I think there's living proof that people now we've got 20 years down the track, and I know that Australia have got exercise-based rehabilitation, and I know Matt and his team are very strong with that here in Sydney, and yeah, so I think it's. I don't want to spoil too much from the book, but some of the trainers from Spinal Cord Injuries Australia did come to Project What to be trained by my trainer, Mika. Okay. And that was the starting point of all this, like now they call themselves neuro moves. It was called Walk On at that time. So, slowly we got there in the end. We were 20 years behind. But we got there in the end. But yes, we will still face a lot of skepticism as always. Medicine, there's always so many skeptical people and people who just tall poppy syndrome and going, oh, that's crap, this is not whatever, there's no evidence and all these things. But there's so many living proof now that people can do it.
Congratulations on completing the book.
Oh, thank you.
Achievement. Interested to know what your writing process was. I'm writing my next book on transitions.
Oh, good.
So I just love your topic.
Yeah.
The writing, how long it took you, did you have ABC?
on board with you early on, or did you approach them once you had the manuscript?
Yeah, so I think the writing process was interesting. This was I love music, so one of Ed Sheeran's song "Photographs" came online as I was listening to it on the way back from work, and I was like, oh wow, there's something about that song, because I remember the video, like he was collating all his videos and photos from when he was a kid up until when he's like performing on stage. And that kind of inspired me to go on down this rabbit hole, I guess, of going on Facebook, looking at different photos, and there's a lot of intense emotion saying, oh, I gotta write, like the love letter piece came very strongly. Like it's like, I want to pay homage to my trainers. I can't thank them enough for being there for me, and John being there for me, and all these things. And that's how the book idea came about. So with the actual manuscript and proposal process, I had some help from one of my mentors in the US, a book writing mentor, and she helped me through that process, because that ain't easy. The book proposal and manuscript and all this, it wasn't easy. So I got her help, and that's how I landed up with the book deal and everything. And I was very grateful. Yeah, very grateful. Yeah, I mean, Mary's here, and she's been supporting me from the beginning. And I can't. Yeah, thank you for having faith in me.
As an aside,
Yes, because yes.
the correlation of music with dementia.
Oh
and
yes.
Just watching how people respond to that, it's very amazing to see. But at the Project Walk, was it predominantly American patients? Was it international patients, or?
Yeah, really good question. Predominantly Americans, because it's based in America, but we had international crowd. Like there were quite a few Aussies there, and that was fun. Like from our own Aussie team, and then we had like Brazilians, we had Japanese, we had people from all over the world.
Whereabouts in LA?
It's not exactly LA. It's in Carlsbad. It's in between LA and San Diego. Oh, is that? I didn't know that. I didn't know the Kardashians were in Carlsbad. Oh my goodness. But the flower fields are in Carlsbad and Legoland.
What was your husband doing while you were?
Thankfully, he was doing IT and still doing IT, and he could work remotely. That's the beautiful thing about IT. He could work remotely. Yeah. So I think that helped, maintain things, I guess, if that's the word. Or else we'll be having too much fun in California. That's not good. And never wanting to come home and getting the green card. We've thought a few times. Well, we'll go there. Oh, green card. Then we looked at the healthcare system. No.
One of my favorite parts of the book is when you were in America, you went to quite a few concerts while you're there. Do you still keep going to concerts now, or what's your next concert that you're going to?
BTS.
Yeah.
But I signed up for Weavers and Army membership. Again, that's not the point. K-pop. They've been around for a long time. They were around since they were teenagers.
BTS is the boy band.
The boy band. They just went to sorry, my son don't do that. That's not embarrass me in front of it.
Yeah. They do have some great songs, everyone. There's a takeaway. Yeah, BTS, K-pop.
Yes, Martin, yes, that is the next concert. If I can get tickets, I will try very hard. Yeah. I'm on the Army membership. I will try. Still love music, because music calms my nervous system and my vagus nerve.
With your husband turning the lens to the carer,
what
help did he get? Because a lot of times what happens is the carer can get tired. It's a long journey. They have to adjust to doing the best to help you, but take care of themselves. What help did John get? Did he get somebody to help him?
I mean, John can probably address this as well, but I think he had a few close friends that he could still debrief, and it's really important to have. Even in medicine now, I have a couple of girlfriends where we will debrief about our medical life and how whatever, and we'll have a good dinner together. I think John had a few friends who are still like that. Do you want to add something down?
Yeah.
That's okay. Yeah, that's right. He had a few close friends that he could still confide on. I think that's really important. Yeah, especially with caregivers, their risk of burnout is very high. Yeah, especially with spinal cord injuries and other neurological conditions with high care needs. Yes, and I think it was good that I was supported by we call it Transport Accident Commission in Melbourne. So it's like the TAC. funded carers, and that helped John relieve some of his duties, I guess. Gave him time to pursue other, I guess, his own interests.
Like we made and
Yeah.
simple things, duties at home, doing all these things.
Yeah, he was doing a lot. He's still doing a lot, but he was doing a lot more in the early days. Yeah, so it was tough, but I think he's got his tribe as well, secret tribe that he could rely on, WhatsApp them anytime.
Beautiful example
Yeah.
of definition of a very successful marriage.
Oh, thank you.
You know, where
Yeah.
it's not just about someone's physical
Mm,
appearance, it's about the emotional, the mental, the support,
exactly.
being there. It's a beautiful testament.
Oh, thank you.
Love story and your own and together.
Yeah, it is like a love story. The book is like our love story, actually. It's great. I'm glad the kids got it. I'm hoping Joe will eventually finish it, but yes. He will ask, how did you meet? Just read the book. That's all I can say. It will summarize everything.
Yeah.
He'll ask that.
Because I've got friends who's going through cancer and
Aye.
I'm getting them to come and talk and cancer thing. And I'm getting Greg to talk about his perspective.
Mm.
In the book, is there John's perspective of how he coped with the situation?
It will the book's about my observations of how he coped. He could write his own memoirs next time, but I have to admit, quite a number of people who have bought my book in Melbourne. Especially, I thought of this woman who bought my book. Her husband was going through cancer at the Peter Mac, and she bought the book as a caregiver. She found it very validating because I think we captured John's perspective, my perspective on what he had to go through.
Yeah.
She felt it was quite true to the caregivers, what they had to go through. But it was through my own lens, don't get me wrong. He should write his own memoir about, it'll be a whole different story altogether, I guess, I don't know. But yeah, I think it'll be quite beneficial, not just for the patients or clients going through that, but for the caregivers. You should just, yeah.
Because we don't hear from
No.
really about
Yeah.
the spouses or
Yeah.
you know the loved ones, we would call it that way. Their perspective of how they support and what their
Exactly.
emotions and when we hear about we hear about the person that's going through
Correct.
the
Yeah.
challenges, if you want to call
Yeah.
it. But we don't, very rarely do we hear about the other side, the support that they have to
Yeah.
give. You know, and they're trying to be positive and and all that.
Exactly, yeah. It's a hard because
Trying to smile from everything
Yeah.
and being positive while underneath your crying buckets.
oh yeah, exactly. And
Second book in the wings.
Third book.
POV, husband's view.
The excerpt, John.
I think before the accident, or
Yeah, we were I guess we were married for 2 years when the accident happened.
Then you had the excerpt.
Yeah, then I guess we could consider newlyweds 2 years. I don't know.
And you were 27 at the time?
Yeah, 27. Yeah,
But then
yeah,
yes,
young.
very young.
I'm privileged to know Olivia, and I'm intrigued. Olivia, we're almost 20 years down the track
Yes.
now. Fast forward 20 years.
Yeah.
What's Olivia's love letter to herself now?
Olivia's love letter to myself. Every day I'm saying a love letter to myself. I think every day should be, just grateful that I'm alive, and just that that self-compassion piece, being kind to yourself, and self-appreciation. Every day. You did well today. You did well today. Even though I may have stuffed up or whatever, I did well today. That's self-appreciation. I think that's my love letter to myself every day. It's becoming like it becomes like a habit now. Yeah.
regardless of what disability you've got.
That's it.
Because I've got a bit of a vision issue.
Mm.
And, it's like I get up and I can see I can do things
Yes.
and all those things as well.
Yeah.
too, so.
Yeah, I think a lot of illnesses could be invisible to the people outside, especially as a pain physician, I see that a lot because a lot of my patients have persistent pain, and it's really hard for them because people don't understand them because they can't see it obvious, like amputation or whatever, and it's silent suffering, and I always tell that to my patients, and gotta be kind to. That's the whole like self-compassion piece, love letter to myself, and I teach the same stuff to my patients as well because everybody needs to learn it. Yeah, if
You know what your limitations are, and but also try to achieve little.
correct, and I think if I could write a medication on a script, it'll be self-compassion. I'll be like self-compassion. There we go. you get one script, you get one script. I mean, very Oprah, but then, you know.
I've just had 2 spinal
Operations.
This is very interesting.
Yeah.
I've got my books.
Please.
Thank you, please.
It's Dr. Olivia Ong. You know where to find her.
Thank you.